Hey guys, today I'm sharing the nursery, and this is probably my favorite room that I've ever decorated, and it was also the most challenging. I wanted to tie in a lot of blues and greens, keep it kind of classic yet still feel like magical and fun because it's a baby's room. This room just brings me so much joy. If you are new here, my name is Shelby, and you can find me on Instagram at Pretty in the Pines, where I share a lot of home, a lot of like small space apartment decorating. Because we live in New York City, I live with my husband, TJ, our now 6-month-old baby Brooks, and our dog Pearl. Today's actually her birthday. But yeah, we live in the Upper West Side in New York, so it's very kind of like quiet, family friendly. It's part of town and we love it. We have been thinking a lot about like, where are we gonna go next? But I don't know when that will be. And I don't know. I don't know where or when it would be. But for now, we are in New York City, and I have tried to make the most of every little inch in our apartment because it brings me joy. And just because you're renting doesn't mean that you have to live in a white, boring box. So I found some ways to add some wallpaper in here in a temporary way. I'll show you that in the video. If you follow along on Instagram, I have already shared like every step of this whole room, but I wanted to put it together in a YouTube video where I can go into depth about every little detail because it was so much fun to put together. I guess the whole like inspiration behind this room was I wanted it to feel like timeless, classic, kind of vintage, but also very magical. I wanted it to have color, a lot of blue, a lot of green, a lot of like prints and patterns. And I also found like a lot of antique furniture and just like unique touches to make it feel vintage and just add a whole lot of characters. And I hope you find some sort of inspiration if you or someone you know is decorating a kid or baby room. I wish I could just decorate nursery after nursery after nursery, because there's something about decorating for kids. It just like gives me so many like endorphins. It's just I think it's the nostalgia. It takes me back and it makes me very happy. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to see more videos, and we will go ahead and get into it.
Let's start from the beginning and what this room looked like when we first moved in. So like everywhere else in the apartment, it started out as a white room, white walls, white ceiling. It was a beautiful room, very unique windows. This apartment was built in the 1930s, so we do have some character already built in. So when we first moved into this apartment, this is what the second bedroom looked like. And we didn't know for sure that we'd be having a baby in this apartment, so the plan was for it to be a guest bedroom or office until maybe a nursery. When we found out that we were having a baby boy, I found a few paint colors I thought would work in here. Green smoke complemented with French gray, which actually doesn't look gray at all. It's kind of green. But both colors are from Faro and Ball. So green smoke is what you see on the doors, the trim, and the ceiling. This room has been a very long, gradual labor of love, and I took my time in making it feel special and putting thought into the small details. So was it ready when we first took home our baby from the hospital? Absolutely not. I was just way too tired when I was pregnant to really decorate a room fully. So here we are 7 months after he was born, giving you a tour of it. So if you're currently stressed about finishing a nursery before your baby is born, do not fret, because he really didn't sleep in here until a few months later. So we definitely had some time. The next thing we did when designing this room was picking out a wallpaper. And I wanted something with color, but nothing super like stereotypical baby boy or baby girl. Something that felt timeless but unique, and I was extremely inspired by a couple of Swedish wallpaper brands. Sweden really knows how to do their wallpaper. They have the most stunning designs. We do rent this space, but that has not stopped me ever from finding ways to make things reversible or easily removable. We've tested a few different wallpaper application processes since living here. We've tried peel and stick. I absolutely despise that process, but it works if you have the patience for it. And if you plan to remove it later on, it really does work. We also tried a process for traditional wallpaper where you can apply the wallpaper to the wall using double-sided tape on top of painter's tape so that the wallpaper is never really sticking directly to the wall and it's easy to remove. That process, it did work well for small areas, but not so much for larger areas. The larger areas ended up looking super lumpy and pretty bad. So we took that down and I found a new method. I wanted to wallpaper the entire room, so we eventually tried this method where you simply use a roller and liquid cornstarch, and that seemed to work fairly well. That was so far the best method that we found. So keeping the seams down where different pieces meet is the tricky part with that method, and I probably should have used more of the cornstarch, but we'll see what we can do to fix that. So we settled on this pattern with leaves, and it looks like fruit hanging off the vines in the color Misty Blue. I definitely wanted the room to have color, but still feel very, very calm. So that meant bringing in lots of calming colors wherever possible. And with all the color and pattern on the walls, I looked for a big, neutral, but still not boring rug. And I found this one. After laying down the large neutral rug, I felt like the room was missing something. And then I found this navy blue, smaller rug in this plaid pattern to layer on top of it. And it is perfect for this space. I think the two look so good together, and I think they're both very good long-term options for him to grow up with as long as it doesn't get destroyed by him or Pearl, but we'll see how that goes. So this cabinet over here once belonged to a music school here in New York City, and I found it on a secondhand furniture website. There's definitely some wear and tear, but I loved it too much, and I knew it was the ideal measurements for this wall in between these closets. Now that Brooks is getting closer to crawling, we definitely will be securing it and all furniture in our apartment to the walls and baby-proofing the entire place. But this piece of furniture is definitely something that can grow with him. And maybe one day if he doesn't like it, I'll just use it in a living room or a dining room. And then this is a closet system from IKEA that I've had since our first apartment in New York. As you probably know, New York apartments are not the largest spaces, and sometimes you really just have to get creative with your storage solutions. So this closet actually holds not all of my clothes, but a good portion of my clothes. So I still keep my clothes in here, and Brooks doesn't mind, obviously, because he's a baby and doesn't know, but it used to just be fully opened, and I added doors to kind of disguise the fact that I store some of my clothes in his room. So I bought doors, and we primed them, painted them, added decorative molding to elevate the look a bit, and I think it looks so great in here. So for the crib, we have a walnut wooden, pretty simple crib, but I love it. It's perfect for the space. It's the perfect tone of wood that I was looking for. This crib canopy has started needing to be wrapped up at nap times. So now that he's like grabbing things and he can reach and pull things down, we've had to remove the canopy, and we've also had to move his baby mobile. But I still wanted to include it in the video because it was there for quite a few months. But just wanted to give you like a little reality check. Once the babies start grabbing things, you'll likely have to put a few things away. We moved the crib slightly away from the wall and hung a few frames with photos I love above the crib. So a picture of him and his dad, and also his sister Pearl. This is a puppy photo of Pearl, and I edited it to look like a painting of her, and then I framed it. I used Frame Bridge, which is where the frames came from, but it was a really nice company to use for just like a one-stop shop for framing some of your favorite photos. So over here, we have our recently added curtain rods as clothing rack rods. And I don't know, there's something cute about having little baby clothes just out in the open, somewhere we can add more clothing storage so it's functional, but also cute and fun to kind of like plan out his cute little outfits. So I'll happily do that as long as he lets me. I know one day he'll be wearing like, I don't know, Pokemon t-shirts, but for now I'm having so much fun planning his outfits. And over here we have a vintage French country style wooden shelf that I found on Etsy. A lot of things in his nursery are actually found from small shops on Etsy. His dresser is another one of those secondhand furniture website finds that kind of work like Facebook Marketplace. This one is called Apartment Deco. Did paint it. There was a ton of wear and tear, and the mirror was an antique find from when we went upstate. In one of my last vlog videos, I shared the mirror, and I think it's perfect here. So, as a reminder, this room started out with these radiator covers that were not my favorite, but they had like these huge holes, like vent holes, and it didn't feel the safest for like baby fingers, and I got a radiator cover for my radiator cover. The last little space I want to show you today is this book wall. So it's a plate rack that I found on Etsy, and it's a fun way to store his books and use up this wall space. We'll probably move it down a bit when he's actually able to read himself, but I just love how this turned out. So overall, I wanted this room to feel like a page out of a children's book, just like with a vintage cottagey feel, and I think we achieved it. I love all the antique secondhand finds that just add so much character, and I love that I was able to find temporary ways to decorate it since we are renting, and I could sit in here like all day, every day. It's just so peaceful to me, and it brings me so much happiness. If you have any questions about where anything is from, I try to be as thorough in the description as possible, but please feel free to ask any questions if I miss something. And thank you so much for being here and watching this and subscribing. It all means so much to me, and I will see you guys next time.